everyone, welcome back to my channel, Anita Library. I'm Anita and this is my library. So today we are going to be talking about how to get out of and or stay out of a reading slump. A reading slump is where you feel burnt out by books, you feel uninspired by books, you have a lack of commitment in books, you're reading 5 books at a time and they're really not grabbing your attention, and you're just not prioritizing them the way you used to or the way you want to. So you just need to be re-inspired or to stay inspired to keep reading. So if you need to see those tips, keep watching. If you're interested in bookish content like TBRs or my book collection or curated book collections for certain types of books or recommendations or things like that, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you like this style of video where I'm giving you tips about how to reach your bookish goals, give it a thumbs up so I'll know to make more in the future. Other than that, let's get into the video. So I have 10 tips about how to get out of or stay out of a reading slump. First up, I have to read YA books or even middle grade books. I was gonna say just YA, but another bookish content creator, her name is Kayla's Bookish Vibes here on YouTube. She mentioned she likes to read middle grade books. And I'll kind of put 2 in 1 with the YA and the middle grade books because I think they're easy to read as far as like pacing and language, but I also think or assume that these are books that got you into reading in the first place, or that when you think of your first memories of books, it's probably middle grade YA books, easy, light reading type of thing. So like that's how you fell in love with reading ever in the first place. So just take you back to that place and just like, oh, that was so easy, it's so nostalgic. I think that could definitely get you out of something where you're feeling like, why do I even bother? Or like, why am I making time for this? It's that like intrinsic good feeling that YA and like easy reading, maybe like the origins of your reading story might bring you. My second tip I got from Shaughnessy. She's also here on YouTube, and I'll leave both of Kayla and Shaughnessy's channels linked down below. But she mentioned graphic novels, and I was like, that's genius, because graphic novels, if you've never read them, they're likened to comic books, but it's mostly just pictures, and they have words in it to move the story along, of course, but it makes it so easy. It's not chunks and chunks of description and stuff like that, because there's images to describe things that you would normally use words to describe in books, and then obviously there's tons and tons of dialogue, and it's easy to keep characters straight because you can see them. They have images when they're speaking and whatnot. So they're really quick to read, really easy to read. You can read a graphic novel in like 30 minutes, 2 hours maybe if it's a longer one. They are very easy to read and makes it, and it's a sense of accomplishment, like an instant sense of accomplishment. Like I don't have to dedicate so much time to meeting a goal. If I say I want to finish a book and I pick up a graphic novel, that's the book, and it takes me 30 minutes, I feel so accomplished, like I read a whole book. Yay! So I think that's an excellent tip. The third tip is read books that have been made into TV shows or movies. Now this got me back into reading immediately after, well, not immediately after college, but I went to college, and then maybe 3-4 years after that, I wanted to start reading again, and I just really didn't know where to start, or like how to feel inspired or stay inspired. I picked books that had been made into movies or TV shows, and I would read the book and then watch the show or the movie, and it just kept me so much more engaged. Or even if I've seen the movie already and I know that it was based upon a book, I kind of obviously already have an idea of like the plot and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me to do that backwards in a way. But if it's a movie or a TV show that you like, you're already kind of invested. It's just giving you more information, more description, and more characters, more plot, more answers, and everything's not always matched up, you know what I mean? So there's some differences from film or TV to books. So that's helped me many a times stay in reading or get back into reading. And I have a few books here that I have read, some I haven't, but I've done this with. Read the book, then watched the movie. The Waiting to Exhale, Secret Life of Bees, Harry Potter. That is fun to do. Even if you've watched the movies and read all the books, it's just to do like Sorcerer's Stone book, Sorcerer's Stone movie, Chamber of Secrets book, Chamber of Secrets movie. Like that is really fun to do. Even if you've like read and watched them all. Handmaid's Tale, that is excellent book. Wouldn't recommend the entire show. Okay, it gets a little wild, but I definitely like the book. Game of Thrones, that's an investment either way, but I think they're phenomenal. Gone Girl, I mentioned that in a previous video that this is one of my top favorite books. You just have to give that one some time if you want to reread it. Give it like 5 years for you to forget some stuff and then reread that again. Or definitely read it first before you watch the movie because it will blow your socks off. The Hunger Games, books and movies, you can do the same thing like Harry Potter. Maze Runner, same thing. Twilight, same thing. And Percy Jackson, same thing. Those are YA. The only one of those that I've read were Hunger Games. I've watched one of the Percy Jackson movies because I like Greek mythology. So I watched the first Percy Jackson movie, but I haven't watched the rest or read any of the books. But I hear they're really great. And Twilight I've never watched or read, but because I don't like vampires. Like I am kind of firm on my I won't read a book about vampires. I don't know. But if you're into those types of things, there's something for everybody. There's thriller, there's historical fiction, there's romance. Like you can do this with any genre. So I highly, highly recommend books that have been made into TV shows or movies. The next tip is reading reimaginations of stories or retellings of stories, or like a different spin or a dark spin or something like that. I've seen graphic novels about fairy tales, like reimagined fairy tales. There's a whole series or like, I guess, subgenre of YA that are Disney and fairy tale retellings. They're called A Twisted Tale. That is on my radar. They're by several different authors, but they will have the Twisted Tale on the title or subtitle. And there's something for, you name the character. There's one for Aladdin, there's one for Snow White, and I love Disney. I love like fairy tale stories. The TV show Once Upon a Time ate it up. So that is really, really interesting. If you are like me, you like fairy tales and Disney and like classic stories like that, read retellings, even modern retellings. I have read Emily McIntyre's series, the Never After series, I think it's called. She has maybe 6 books or so. I've read 3 and I'm like, I've read enough of those. But she's got plenty of those. They're dark romance. They're considered dark romance books, and I really like them. I would recommend them. They're definitely something to get inspired by if you like retellings. Then the next tip that I have is to read along with an audiobook. So you have the physical book or you have the ebook. Get an audiobook to go along with it. The audiobooks are probably as cheap as you're going to get as far as being able to absorb a book. So if you have a hard book, like a physical book, then that's for a price. Then you have ebook, then you have audiobook. Audiobook is the cheapest it's going to get. So if you can get maybe a book from the library for free, then you can just spend, if you have an Audible subscription, then it's kind of, you've already prepaid for it if you want to think about it that way. Or if you do girl math, it's free. You can get a book for free with your Audible subscription, and then you get a book from the library for free. Read them at the same time. So depending on the voice actor, it can make it a little bit more of a pleasant experience, especially if you get those like dramatized versions. They have some for the Akatar series, and it did bring a different aspect to the book versus just reading it. If you have a hard time reading, or you're new to listening to an audiobook that's a dramatized version, and then reading the hard copy or the ebook at the same time can make the experience a little bit more colorful or lively for you. It feels more like a movie, you're listening to a movie, than it does sitting and reading a book. So I recommend that for like new readers too. Audiobooks aren't for everybody, and not every audiobook like voice actor or actress is for me, for sure. I will definitely preview every time to see, can I listen to this person for 15 hours? And if not, that's not for me. I'm just gonna read it the old fashioned way. But that is a tip if audiobooks are your style. Next tip is to join a book club or do a buddy read. That's kind of an accountability partner for your reading. You're not doing it alone. You have somebody to talk to about the books. That is something so fun about getting into this book community, is that there's always somebody who's picking up what you're putting down, who's read the book that you're reading, who's interested in reading the book that you're reading. So they want to hear some spoiler-free feedback about it. There's always somebody to talk to about the book that you're reading. And if you have a buddy read or a book club read, you have so many people already invested in the same thing you're invested in, so it's going to make it a little bit more exciting for you to get through it. Another tip that I have is pick books that have likable, lovable, heartwarming characters. I know that's kind of hard to do if it's like a new series or a new author or writer or something that you're not familiar with. But say the off chance you're reading a book that is a part of a series, or you have started a series and you've seen characters mentioned and you're like, I'm really interested in knowing more about this character, and I know this book is going to be about that character. Pick up that one, because you really want to know more about them, and you know this book is focused on them. I have a couple of examples. One is from Kennedy Ryan's Hoops series. She had a book that in the first book they introduced some characters, and they ended up having their third book. I cannot wait to read the third book, and that ended up being my favorite of the series. Also, Binding 13, they introduced lots of characters in the first book, and then now people know, oh, the second couple of books is going to be about these characters. I can't wait to read it. And then the next couple of books are going to be about these characters. I can't wait to read it. So definitely pick up those if you are in a reading slump, or you feel like you might be getting into a reading slump. Next up, I think this is a fabulous idea, okay? Especially if you're like, I have way too many books, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, but I'm tired of looking at the books I have, I just want something new, but I can't justify going to buy more books because I already have dozens of books already. Go on a library shopping spree. My library, I think I can check out 15 books at once. Now you get them for 3 weeks, so depending on how fast you read, you're probably not going to read them all, but you can renew them, you know, return the ones that you have read and renew the ones that you haven't, give yourself some more time. But it's no risk in going to the library and throwing them in the bag. It's like book shopping, but free, and it is inspiring. You'll see they have tables in the libraries, they have new reads, they have it separated by genre, and it is just like being in the space of books and like not feeling pressure or guilt for bringing home books that you've paid for, that you've thrown more money at to just sit on the shelf. I think that is a way to reignite your passion for reading and to get excited about something with low or even no threat. So that is an excellent tip. The next tip that I have for getting or staying out of a reading slump is to reorganize your bookshelves. So I found this happen for me. I have been in a reading slump because I've seen the same old books on my shelf, and to be honest with you, sometimes I'm like, I'm just tired of looking at it, but I'm also not interested in reading it. Like, I'm over it. Like, it was an impulse buy. I don't care about it anymore. And Scout's honor, I have some books, probably like 5 books, that I have laid sideways and hid them behind the row of books that I actually want to read. It's bad. But that is telling me right there that, like, I can probably declutter them. I can probably donate them or something like that, because they've been sitting on my shelf for a long time now, and just the sight of them is like making me want to go buy more books because I'm just over those. Whereas if I have nothing but the books that I'm interested in and I'm excited about everything on my TBR, that is more inspiring to me. So if you ever feel like you're in a reading slump and you're looking at your books and you're feeling how I was feeling, reorganize them, literally. And I think the thing that makes it even more impactful is taking all of your books off the shelf, touching them, reading the back, reading the first page or so, opening up to a random page and like seeing the dialogue if you like that, and just getting a better quick sense of the book and like, are you still actually interested in it? Now, I won't say make a hasty decision and just throw them out the window, but I've done the first step myself of like getting them out of my field of view for now, so that they're not dragging me down.
I didn't need to hear. I don't think I drove home my actual point in this rant. What I mean by this is, get the books that are uninspiring you, or that are irritating you, or that you are sick of looking at, or that you impulse bought and you're just not interested in at all right now. Take those off the shelf and get them out of your field of view, because those are going to be amongst the first things that you're seeing when you're glancing at your shelf, and then you're going to get this overwhelming sense of irritation and like lack of inspiration. Whereas if you take them out of your field of view and either declutter them or like put them somewhere else in a bin or behind your bookshelf or something like that, or like at the bottom of the bookshelf maybe, then that might be the first step to re-inspiring you.
And thinking like, and making me feel like I don't have books that I want to read right now, where I actually have tons. So definitely feel your books, go through your books, familiarize yourself with your books, and that might help you. It definitely helped me when I was feeling threatened by a book slump. And the last tip I have is to make a library / TBR catalog or tracker. So some people do this in a bullet journal, like a notebook, or you can do it online or on an app or something. There's Goodreads. I have like a TBR on Goodreads, but it's not as inspirational to me because it's not as customizable. I have seen Notion trackers or websites that people can definitely customize and curate and add certain tabs or pages that speak to them. They can reorganize them and they don't have to be in a certain way. I really like those. I am not technologically savvy enough, nor do I have enough patience, nor do I want to make time to invest in a program like that. But if that is you, if you are savvy with the computer if it's not overwhelming to you to do something like that, definitely give it a try. If you're more crafty and you're more hands-on and you want to color, you want to do the stickers, try a reading journal or a notebook. And you can get them some that are pre-made. You can get some like a bullet journal that's empty and you customize it 100% to your liking. Do that, and that will, you'll be inspired to go into your reading tracker or your journal or your Notion app or website and see your progress and update things and add your stickers and color stuff in. If you have that crafting techie hobby, pairing that with something else that is a prioritized hobby for you, like reading, might do the trick to keep you out of the reading slump. So those are my 10 tips that I have for getting you out of or keeping you out of reading slumps. If this was helpful, if you like this idea, give it a thumbs up, and I will try to come up with more things like this in the future. And please consider subscribing to my channel before moving on. Other than that, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.